This is the Sean Hannity Show podcast.
All right, thanks, Scott Shannon. As we roll along, Sean Hannity Show 2012, the year to defeat Obama, save America. And our toll-free number is 800-941-SEAN. If you want to be a part of the program, we welcome back to the show Dr. Marc Lamont Hill, the host of Our World, Black Enterprise, and Columbia University professor. I should go and teach your class one day.
I would love that. That would be awesome. Maybe we can co-teach it.
What do you mean co-teach it? How about I teach? You have them the rest of the year. Give me the one class. That's it.
Okay, I'll sit in the back and I'll take notes.
And what do you? What's the class that you're teaching?
I'm teaching a class on Introduction to Communism and Socialism for sophomores. You can do either one you want.
I'll explain why communism is a failed system and how every attempt at socialism has failed. How's that? I'll bring Professor Levin with me because he writes about it in his new book, Ameritopia. Also, the Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson from the group Bond, the Brotherhood Organization for a New Destiny, of which I am a proud. What am I a proud member? I'm a board member, right?
That's right, and been a member for a long time. And you remind me of Newt Gingrich in that you believe that people of all races need to receive a paycheck rather than food stamps.
Well, we've gone from 36 million Americans now to 48 million Americans, 12 more million on food stamps since Barack Obama's been president. And so here's Newt Gingrich. He says, well, it's, the jobs president versus food stamps president. Yeah. And people say there's some type of racial implication, even though in terms of real numbers, there's more white people receiving food stamps than African Americans or minorities. I don't know how do we make that leap when he didn't mention minorities?
Well, the sad commentary is that most black Americans, not all, but most have been lied to for the last 50 years or so. They've been told that America is a racist society, that they can't make it. And as a result, they need the liberal, godless Democratic Party and the government to help them make it. But when you look back over the last 50 years or so, not all, but most who have relied on the government have gotten worse in life rather than getting better. And the only thing that's going to make them better is that they're going to have to admit the truth about what is wrong. And what is wrong is the family is broken. They've taken the fathers out of the homes. The government is the daddy of the family. The godless leaders are the so-called head of the people. And these folks have a handout generation after generation. And as you know, Sean, I've been in the trenches the last 21 years or so working with black boys and girls. And you have helped us to do that. And these boys who have gotten off welfare and girls who have gotten off welfare, they've gotten jobs, they've educated themselves, they've started businesses, and they're out there being an asset to the world rather than a hindrance. And this is what Newt is talking about. And I am sick and tired and fed up with every time you bring up what is wrong with black folks, they have to bring up white folks. The reality is black Americans are 13% of the population in this great nation, and yet 40% of them are relying on the government. It wasn't like that prior to the civil rights movement. I grew up on a plantation where we had no government. We had family. We had work. We had one another. And we did better then than the average black person is doing today.
Dr. Hill?
Wow. There's so much to say there. I didn't know that Jesse grew up on a plantation. That's exciting to know. I'll avoid the obvious joke. This is what I'd say. I'd say that, first of all, like most people...
stop for a second. Wait. What's the obvious joke? Because I don't see the joke.
That too.
I'll tell you at the end. Let me finish my thing after listening to Jesse's 3-minute explanation. The first thing I'd say is that, like everyone, I would love people to receive a steady income rather than a welfare check. I don't want people to get welfare. I want people to have...
Why don't you encourage that?
I'm sorry?
Why don't you encourage that rather than encouraging them to rely on the government?
Well, let's do this, Jesse. I'll let you talk completely uninterrupted. So let me do that, and then I won't be nearly as long as you, and then we'll have an exchange.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the first thing is I do encourage people to work. I encourage people to work hard. But I also encourage people, I also want to live in a nation where people have safety nets when they don't have access to the basic necessities and resources like housing, like healthcare, like education. I mean, these are things that people need, and I support a social safety net.
But that's insane.
The conversation on welfare gets racialized is not because people want to blame white people, but because the conversation on poverty has been darkened. In other words, although, like you said very accurately, Sean, most people on welfare are white, oftentimes the face of welfare is black. If you remember in the 80s under President Reagan, we had the welfare queen, right, which wasn't considered a white girl in West Virginia. It was a black woman in Chicago who was stealing public money.
Yeah, but I gotta add this to this discussion.
As a result, many people vote against welfare, thinking that they're voting against her, when in fact
no. But wait a minute. But what I'm talking about is Newt Gingrich never mentioned any race when he was discussing this.
I
at that
understand
point,
what you're
That's
saying,
right.
but certain language is coded because the conversation of poverty has been racially coded. So that
here's the wickedness of what Lamont and
let me just make this last quick thing.
Lamont and others are doing. Whenever you bring up something that can help the people, these folks want black Americans and others to be brainwashed, dumbed down, and demoralized, and that's why they're constantly using. That's why they're. Hold on a minute. That's why they're constantly using. Oh, this is racially coded. Because as long as they could throw out that word, it's going to keep black Americans angry and relying on them. This is why we're trying to wake up black folks so that they can see that these elitist liberals do not want them to be free and to become whatever they want to in this great nation.
So, Jesse, when Rick Santorum specifically said black people, you're saying that wasn't racial?
No, it wasn't, and I'm okay with that because the truth is the truth, and it doesn't. And it doesn't matter.
Rick Santorum's reference to black people wasn't racial.
It's not.
Let him hang out. Let him explain.
Because the truth is the truth is the truth, and it has no color attached to it.
I don't even know what comment you're referring to. Which comment?
What do you mean it has no color? He said black.
No, in what context? I'm asking the context of the comment.
He was talking about black people getting public money. He was talking about welfare.
I don't know the context.
He said something like, I don't have the quote in front of me, but I don't have the quote either, but I do remember him mentioning that. He mentioned black people. But see, it doesn't matter that he said it. It was true in what he said. But you have these folks who every time something is said about black people, and not all but most, if it's coming from a non-black person, they will not accept it. If it's coming from a conservative Republicans such as myself and Walter Williams and others, we'll call Uncle Tom and Ruckus and all that because they don't really want black Americans to realize the dream of Martin Luther King Jr. And that is, if you love God with all your heart, soul, and might, you treat people the way you would like to be treated, you work hard, you save your money, you be a good example for your children, you do the right thing, you can make it in this country. People like Lamont doesn't want that. Marc Lamont doesn't want other black people to know this secret. They want to be the head of the people.
I mean, your whole Hulk Hogan slogan of, say your prayers and eat your vitamins is great, and I think people should do it, but that doesn't create jobs. We need to create jobs here. And but
what happens when you have a family? When you have a family, Mark, like in the old.
All right, let me jump in here. I mean, here President Obama gave us $5 trillion in debt. He said Bush, for getting $4 trillion in 8 years, was irresponsible and unpatriotic.
Over the last 8 years is to take out a credit card from the Bank of China in the name of our children, driving up our national debt so that we now have over $9 trillion of debt that we are going to have to pay back. That's irresponsible. It's unpatriotic.
It's irresponsible, unpatriotic. He's accumulated $5 trillion in 3 years, and we spent billions of dollars, and we have fewer jobs in America than when he became president, millions less.